Hello everybody, welcome to the Centbee Show. I'm your host, Lorien Gamaroff, and my co-host is the creative genius behind Centbee, Kage and Ntshingila. Kage, welcome to the show.
What's up, Mr. G?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Fresh for the week.
Fresh for the week. Here we are doing our usual consistently. We're sticking to this mission that we've got, bringing Bitcoin knowledge to the world. This is something that is a passion for us, and we want to give to the community.
We have to, Mr. G. I mean, with so much experience, all these years, I feel like it's important for us to at least clarify, the misinformation that's there. So, it's definitely a responsibility we have.
Yes, we've got the two responsibilities. One is creating the world's best Bitcoin digital cash wallet.
Straight up.
We think it's kind of like Satoshi's idea of what he had when he first thought about Bitcoin. Not about hardware wallets, but mobile payments, low-cost digital cash payments. Centbee is the embodiment of what we think of as Satoshi's wallet. And so that's one of our responsibilities, is to make Bitcoin easy to use for everybody. But the other responsibility is to explain to people what is Bitcoin. There's so much misinformation, as we always talk about on the show.
There's a lot,
a lot of misconceptions around what Bitcoin is, what it's meant to be, what role does it fulfill, what was the motivation of Satoshi Nakamoto, who invented it. Was he responding to the financial crisis and wanting to create an alternative financial system that could bring down the man? Is that what really he wanted? That's pretty much what the mainstream think. But what we want to explain to the world, if the world's willing to watch the Centbee Show, and you should subscribe and share it with your friends. But we want to explain that that's not what Satoshi was thinking. Satoshi was thinking about digital cash, low-cost digital cash.
Straight up, Mr. G. And I'm glad that us as Centbee, we sort of like encompass that in a wallet. And we have a product, like I'm saying, and for us, that's the proof that we actually needed in this space, like to show something instead of just, us ranting about the tech, which is pretty cool.
That's right. We've been around for a couple of years now. We've got a couple 100,000 downloads in all the app stores.
Still growing.
And we're growing every day. We are building out cool features in the wallet. We are busy doing some new features on group ChatPay. So if you haven't checked the new feature, ChatPay, check it out. Download Centbee Wallet. You can connect to your friends. You can chat to them. You can send them money. And now you can even split bills and have groups.
That's the coolest,
And that's how this is meant to be used, right? So if you want to see what Satoshi was talking about when he titled the white paper, Peer-to-Peer Electronic Cash, get Centbee Wallet. Check out the store there. In fact, it's not a store, it's more the shopping and retailing options that we've got available in your country. So what you can do is you can find out in your country where you can go and spend your digital cash, and we're in just about every country.
Every country, Mr. G. Like we were saying previously, you can literally live off your PSV with Centbee. You can spend on all your essentials, airtime, gaming, whatever you feel like you can spend on, Centbee has it.
That's right. You don't need a credit card. You don't need debit cards. You don't need a bank. This is mobile money on fire.
Straight up.
And if you're used to using mobile money wallets like M-Pesa or MTN Momo or Airtel across the African continent, but there are many, many mobile money products out there in the world.
It's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Because, like everyone has a mobile phone these days, so everyone is trying to find the cheapest or the easiest way to send money. And M-Pesa and all of them being there, they work, but someone needs something like Centbee because it simplifies like the whole payments part of, sending and stuff. It's cheaper, it's faster. It's cooler.
When I tried M-Pesa in Kenya, Centbee was more than 100 times cheaper.
I can imagine. Because also, like we were saying previously, it's more of a monopoly in some of these countries. Like they don't have much options. So we are here to expand options for people, whether it's their shopping or us being a wallet. Like we always say, cheaper transactions, faster, only BSV is capable of doing that. Cool, sure, thanks, Ms. G. So just remember to check out the app on the stores, guys. Remember to comment, show some love, This is Mobile Money on Fire. So Ms. G, we're going to be stepping into our second segment. We're talking bad takes, and it's been like all these years that, a lot of prominent people been having opinions about this crypto space, and we have noted a couple, even in our previous episodes, whether it's Peter Schiff or Warren Buffett. We can't ignore, such head honchos. I mean, they've been in this financial space for the longest time.
Yeah.
So when they speak of the crypto space in such of a light, we shouldn't ignore it, I guess.
Well, that's how it's always phrased, is that this is something new.
Yeah.
Those guys are boomers.
Yeah.
What the heck does Warren Buffett know about crypto?
Yeah.
He's old school, traditional. And Peter Schiff, everyone just always says he's shilling his gold bags. That's all he's into.
Yeah.
And when it comes to a technology like Bitcoin, because it's new, this new idea, although it's not new anymore, especially Bitcoin 15 years later.
It's not, yeah.
Because they don't understand this new concept of decentralized digital currency, they have missed it and they misunderstand something.
Yeah.
And so they give their bad takes. Famously, Warren Buffett said Bitcoin is rat poison squared.
Yeah.
And you just go look at any and watch any Peter Schiff podcast, which you should.
Definitely.
You'll learn a lot about economics.
Yeah.
You'll hear him just talking about how BTC it's like a fiat currency. He'll say it's just a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
And it's not limited in supply because there are, in fact, millions of different cryptocurrencies. So, yes, you can have one crypto and they're all the same. So what difference does it make? So these are the kinds of bad takes that these guys have been giving. And so they get derided by the crypto community.
Yeah.
But as you say, they know things.
Yeah.
They understand how business works, how government works, and how industry works, and how manufacturing works and how payments work.
Definitely.
So they've got a wealth of knowledge, and when they look at crypto, they rightly see through a lot of what crypto is pumping.
Yeah.
This idea of decentralization and uncensorable payments and digital scarcity.
Yeah.
I mean, we should try and get some quotes of not Peter Schiff, but Michael Saylor. He'll talk about Bitcoin being energy and who knows what else. He's got some incredibly poetic dumb takes on Bitcoin. So these are the kinds of things that are out there, what are called these bad takes.
Yeah.
What people in crypto think of as no coiners, people who don't understand Bitcoin, don't have any crypto, things that they've misunderstood. And so crypto people will call these bad takes. But the irony is that for a lot of these bad takes from these so-called boomers, a lot of it is true, actually. And it's the crypto people who don't understand what they're dealing with. They've misunderstood Satoshi's Bitcoin, or they misunderstand the concept of blockchain. We're going to have some fun with these bad takes, because I want us to look at these cliched bad takes. And I think that people out there in the audience are going to hear these bad takes and recognize them, because they have been said so often. And if you are interested in Bitcoin or crypto, you've heard these bad takes, and you've probably thought, yes, those are really bad takes. These people don't understand what's going on. But actually, when you dig into it, you're going to find that a lot of these bad takes are very spot on takes.
Yeah, true.
They have a lot of truth to them.
Yeah.
Now, some of them are really bad takes on Bitcoin, but are true for crypto. And I want us to try
Not even some, I think all of them, Mr. G. But obviously, if we were to compare BSV to crypto now, that's a completely different story.
Right.
But I guess we'll just distinguish the two later on.
Okay, cool. And I think there's a lot of these bad takes, so we're probably going to be cutting this up into a part 1 and a part 2.
Yeah.
Or who knows? Hit me up with some bad takes, Kage.
Cool. Our first one says Bitcoin is just a fad and will eventually be replaced by a more advanced cryptocurrency.
Okay, so the one here says Bitcoin is just a fad. So bad take number 1, that it's just a fashionable thing right now, like a new toy or something that everybody's into.
Yeah.
And it's going to be eventually replaced by a new, better, more improved crypto.
Yeah.
All right, so let's check this one out a bit. So the first thing is it talks about a fad. And we've seen fads before in history. We've seen how people get stuck into whatever is fashionable or fun. And a famous one that is in our recent lifetimes was the Beanie Baby craze back in the 90s.
Yeah, I remember you chatting about that.
If you go and look at that, this new toy came out by some manufacturer. It was this little stuffed toy. And this craze just took off, and everybody was getting into Beanie Babies, and they were paying huge, enormous prices for it. It was ridiculous. Everybody started getting into it, and then a short while later it died. So this was a fad. And so the idea that Bitcoin is a fad, well, when we look at these cryptos, if we look at these ICOs, and if we look at NFTs and things, there've definitely been these fad moments. Bored Apes, and in BSV there were the Gopniks, I think there were. So these are momentary things that are exciting and fun, and they come and go. And so of course it makes sense that if you're having a toy or a game, it could get people excited but then fall away. But we're talking about blockchain here. We're talking about a protocol that is like the internet. It's meant to form the foundation of all these new fads that will be built on top. So I think the way that this take is phrased, we can say that, well, clearly blockchain isn't a fad type thing. It's not meant to be this new thing that's interesting and exciting, but then it's not going to have utility or anything for the long term. So just on that respect, I think that we can say this is not a fad. This is not the kind of thing that's a fad. But will a lot of these blockchains fall out of favor? Yes, because at the end of the day, these blockchains need to scale and they need to become useful. So definitely there are blockchains that are being pumped and created, and new cryptos that are being created all the time because people like new shiny things. And you see that prices of these little tokens pump up and then they fall down and the fad is over. So I'm going to say that for a lot of the cryptos out there, yes, those are fads because people like the new thing. They're excited about it. There's a lot of promise from the developers and a lot of hopium that gets absorbed and smoked and eaten and whatever. And then the thing falls apart. But when it comes to Bitcoin blockchain, this is supposed to be something like the internet, which is going to form the backbone of a new way of moving transactions and transferring the ownership of assets, and for doing automated processes using smart contracts. And so if that happens, then of course it's not going to be the fad. It's going to become something that is entrenched in our lives. Now, we still think that there's going to be one blockchain, just like there's one internet. And so for most of those blockchains, all of them except for one, BSV, they're all going to fall out of favor. And so they are going to be fads, I guess you can call them, that are going to disappear. So I don't think Bitcoin is a fad. I think that BSV as a protocol that's going to form the backbone of a new kind of transactional network, I think that's here to stay. All these other blockchains are definitely not going to be around, and they're going to fall away. Now, the last thing is, well, what about a new Bitcoin? A lot of people say, okay, fine, Satoshi Nakamoto created the BSV protocol. But it's been 15 years. And surely there's going to be new innovations.
Because actually you can tell also with how people are like pumping their own ideas or whatever tokens they put out there. Like everyone has that expectation, like probably there's going to be a newer tech that replaces the current chaos.
That's right. That's how people think. And it makes sense because if you're talking about tech, then what you have is you've got software that maybe it's using a certain kind of microchip or processor. And so what happens is people build out that tech, but then they find optimizations. They improve the technology. They increase the speed of the microchips. They figure out new algorithms. They build new hardware. They do all sorts of things. And so technology absolutely does improve. And so to say, if we're looking at Bitcoin as a technology, if we say, no, it has to be stuck in the past, it's like, we have version 1 of this tech, and that's all you're ever going to have. Version 1 of Windows, and you can never go all the way to whatever version we're on right now, 11. So when you think about Bitcoin as a technology, it makes sense that it needs to evolve and new innovations come along. But Bitcoin isn't a technology. Bitcoin is a protocol. And what does that mean? A protocol just means it's a set of rules that specifies how information is going to move on this network and how it is going to be secured and maintained through mining. So it's not a technology. You now take that protocol.
Sorry, Mr. G, I think you need to re-emphasize that, because I guess even us ourselves, we also like mistaken at times, because we easily just put it out as a tech.
Yes.
But we need to understand that it's, like you are saying, it's a set of rules that contributes to the tech.
So the tech that you build is going to follow the rules.
Yeah.
Now, think about the internet. The internet has a protocol, a set of rules about how to move information. It also has internet service providers. And what they are big data centers that host websites and use the protocols of the internet, like the HTTP protocol or the email protocol or the just the internet protocol, and they build technology to implement those rules. And so that technology can improve. You can build a better web server. You can build fatter lines. You can get fiber optic cables.
But see, that's also where the confusion is, Mr. G, because to what we constantly say about how it can contribute to all these industries, like now you putting it that way, it becomes easier for someone to understand it as how it can contribute to every other industry or technology there is.
And when you say contribute, it means that there are companies out there who bring innovation. And they say, we want to build a better web server so that we can have faster web pages. Or we want to build a better fiber optic network so we can have information moving on that network a lot quicker. So all this technology that is innovated uses the existing internet protocols and email protocols. Those don't change. The technology that supports that network and the devices that we use
those can change
to view that. That is innovated. I mean, every year you get a new cell phone, brand new.
I was actually laughing, sorry to derail you there, but from 3310s, like your
Nokia's.
Like a simple green screen feature phone to touch screens, smartphones, like that's a complete transition, like we never thought of, actually.
That's right. And guess what never changed, though? The internet protocol. All these amazing devices have innovated. We've got faster bandwidth than we've ever had. We have wonderful websites out there doing video streaming and whatever else you can imagine. That has all been developed and innovated on top of the protocol. So again, when you look at Bitcoin, what it's meant to be, it's not a technology that needs to evolve. And the BTC community, they've said it is. If we come up with a better protocol or an improvement to the protocol or a change that we want to make to the protocol, we are going to implement it, because in their minds, they don't understand protocol. They think, no, this is technology. And so they want to change things. Like, for example, when they saw that one of the things they've imposed, which is a limited block size, they said, well, how do we get more transactions into this small block? I know, let's strip out the digital signatures, because we can then fit more transactions into that block. Well, by doing that, they've now changed the protocol. They've made a very critical, important change. And so that is an innovation, or replaced by fee and other things that they're trying. There's other things they're doing to change the protocol. So this is not what Bitcoin is. It's not a tech that needs to develop and evolve. In fact, just like the internet, it needs to be developed, the protocol specification published, and then set in stone. And guess what happened? The Bitcoin white paper was published. And it was set in stone. Satoshi Nakamoto said, all right, I've done it, guys. I'm finished with the protocol. It's released. Now we're going to build on our Bitcoin node software to ensure that it implements that protocol just right, so that we can make sure that mining is efficient or that transactions can get validated quickly. Go and innovate. Go and build new Bitcoin node software. Go and build Terranode. Do all these amazing things, but keep the protocol the same. Because as soon as you change the protocol, it creates instability and unpredictability.
I mean, even if we were to compare it to any real life situation, like rules are needed in order for building a stable infrastructure. Whether it's building a house, you need a foundation and a solid one. So there's no way you can just, go on and build such a tech and then
Yes.
Later down the line, you just change the rules.
That's right.
Doesn't make sense.
That protocol is the foundation. That's what the protocol is.
Yeah.
The foundation says, this is where the house is. This is where the walls are.
Yeah.
This is where it is. And now go and build that house. Oh, you don't like that room anymore?
Yeah.
Bash it down, build another room there with better specs.
Yeah.
You don't like the paint on this room? You don't like the fittings on this one?
Yeah.
Chop them out. Get modern stuff in there.
But the foundation still remains.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there's a bad take that we've kind of unraveled a bit there.
Yeah.
Is Bitcoin a fad? No. Bitcoin is a foundational infrastructure.
Yeah.
Is it going to be improved with an innovation and technology? It's not meant to be. It's meant to be the foundation. The innovation happens on top. And Terranode is a perfect example.
Yeah.
How Terranode is nothing like the first bit of software that Satoshi Nakamoto created.
Yeah.
We have a whole new software that has been developed over the last few years that is completely different to the software that originally was released. But guess what's the same? Bitcoin is the same.
Yeah.
Not the node.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Straight up. Thanks for that, Ms. G. I mean, it's pretty obvious, like at this point, like when we speak of Bitcoin, which one we speaking of. So yeah, guys, just remember to check out the app on the stores, show some love, comment, subscribe. This is your real BSV plug, yo. Yeah, that was a quite clear breakdown on the first bad take. But our second one states that Bitcoin is a scam and its value will eventually drop to zero.
Yes, Bitcoin is a scam and its price will eventually drop to zero. Now, this is something, depending on which Bitcoin you're talking about.
Well, we all know that when we're talking price and Bitcoin, which one specifically?
Right. So if we're talking about Bitcoin BTC, to be honest, that's a good take.
Dave.
It is a scam.
I agree.
And it is going to go to zero.
Yeah.
Why? Well, the one scam is that people now believe that you can have something that is scarce but has no utility, no purpose, no use, and it can be valuable.
Yeah.
And I don't have to explain why that's a scam. So
yeah, that's self-explanatory, man. Like, if there's no value, there shouldn't be a form of,
no price. That's right.
Like, it doesn't make sense. That's what I was saying when we speaking of price and Bitcoin in one sentence. We clearly know which one.
Yes. So is BTC a scam? Well, you're paying for something that has no value.
Yeah.
It can't do anything for you. You can't use the ledger. You can't use the token because it costs too much money.
It's expensive to send even a lesser amount to it.
Yes, if you want to try and use it as cash, well, you're going to be paying
not feasible.
The highest fees ever. If you think it's gold and you think that it's value that you're storing, well, ask yourself, where's the value? What value are you storing? When you store gold in a vault, you are storing a valuable piece of metal because that metal is very useful.
Yep.
It can be used in all sorts of things. Yep. And the reason why you have that gold is because you believe that somebody one day is going to want to use that gold for something.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't want to use it right away. Maybe they want to take it because they think that somebody's going to use it. But at the end of the day, it comes down to belief that people are going to use it, and not just a false belief.
Yeah.
A real belief, something that's based in history. Gold has been with us forever. Just look around the room. There's something that's got gold in it. And so this is the thing. If it's not useful, if you can't do anything with it,
there's no intrinsic value.
The price is going to go to zero.
Yeah.
When the veil lifts, when the dream is over, when you wake up.
Because we've been saying that it's all based on speculation, people pumping and dumping. It's literally all lies.
It's just hopium.
For real, Mr. G. And it's not even like that even type of a good high because for real, like it comes, like it's going to bring a whole lot of people crashing down, like so bad,
You see all these laser eyes out there? Those are lasers going into your eyes.
Ouch.
And blinding you.
That's so
Those lasers aren't coming out. There's no lasers coming out of your eyes. What those people are saying is that we can't see what we're doing here because we've got these lasers in our eyes.
That's actually quite an accurate analogy because they are so blinded They are so blinded. Like if we were to put out the truth for what it is and just compare what people have been receiving as the truth out there, you can tell like they've been blinded deliberately. So, Mr. G,
it's all because of desperation, greed, and just this hope that, oh my gosh, maybe this is my chance. I can just go and buy a couple $100 worth of BTC, and I can just sit for a couple months, maybe a couple of years, doesn't matter. And that's it. I'm made. And that's just such a tempting thing to believe in. It just fills you with this desperate hope. And if anybody speaks out against that, and that's why we're getting hate now from BTC, because we're taking away that dream.
Yeah.
We're saying, Kacha, wake up. Throwing some water in your face.
Well, I don't even think, Miss G, like this is the reality smack they need. Because, it takes, some like real people with real compassion to put out the truth out there for what it is versus us just saying what people want to hear.
Yeah, we don't want to be buzz killers.
Nah.
We're trying to say, yes, you guys have got an inkling of something amazing here. You've seen something interesting and unique and beautiful, but yet you're not seeing how amazing Bitcoin is and how you could really get rich with Bitcoin if you could just figure this out. And you could think, wow, digital cash, that's pretty cool. Maybe I can create a little service that helps people accept digital cash, or I can bring it into my business and we can do this, or we can send money around the world at low cost. I mean, these are really valuable things that can really help you.
Straight up.
And it requires a little bit of thinking. It, of course, requires work. And for most people, that's a hurdle. You're telling me I've got to work? But Bitcoin's doing all the proof of work. Why do I have to do any proof of work?
Proof of stake, yo.
Yes, I'm proof of staking. I'm buying it and letting Bitcoin do the proof of working. No. You've got to do the proof of work. So forget all this easy riches thing. BTC, Monero, all these cryptos are going to zero.
All of them, Mr. G. Especially, I've also picked up sort of like a pattern of these influential celebrities. Like now, they're also putting out tokens, pumping them. I'd like to mention some names, but rather not. But there's quite a lot. I've seen like it's a pattern now. You can tell that, okay, they've picked up that people usually smoke this hopium, so we can easily exploit that.
No, that's the industry.
So
is Bitcoin a scam? No, but BTC sure is, and so is crypto. There's no value there. Is it going to zero? Yes, but is Bitcoin going to zero? And is Bitcoin a scam? Is BSV a scam? No.
Nope.
Because it's a real thing. It's a ledger that is decentralized in a way that we haven't had before. It allows you to make transactions at lower cost than anything else in the world. You can be connected to this in a permissionless way. This is something that is transformative, is going to change the world. And so is Bitcoin SV ever going to go to zero? Never. Because every single day we are marching towards utility. We have Bitcoin SV Terranode coming out now, which is allowing a throughput of millions of transactions per second, at extremely low cost.
That's crazy.
So that is never going to be unuseful. There is always going to be value for that. Now, whether the value is going to be billions of dollars per token or tens of dollars per token, we don't know. We don't know where this is going to go. I mean, if it is really as useful as we think it is, well, it's going to be a very valuable token because everybody's going to be using it. There's just no way you can think of this thing as going to zero. This is real.
It's real, Mr. G. And to your point, utility. And there's a lot of proof in that when it comes to BSV, I mean, Centbee's here.
That's it. All right, so that's it. Bad take number 2. Bad take if it's BSV. BSV's not going to zero. It's not a scam. But a good take if it's BTC.
But guys, like we always say, the worst place to have your BSV is on an exchange. So download Centbee, send it to your wallet, get spending, see the true nature of low-cost transactions and just spending your digital cash like you're supposed to, man. So check out the app on the stores. Mobile money on fire. Ms. G. So like we said on our second bad take, that Bitcoin is a scam. So our third one speaks of, Bitcoin is only used by criminals and is not a legitimate form of currency.
Right. So if we're thinking about it from BTC's perspective, well, how did Bitcoin start really becoming to the mainstream consciousness? It was through websites like Silk Road. And so this has just been part of Bitcoin's life, unfortunately, because people falsely thought that Bitcoin was an anonymous thing that anybody could just go and use and no one will ever be able to trace you. And so even though criminals definitely use crypto, I mean, that goes without saying. Oftentimes people will say, well, look, it's not as much as dollars. Everyone will say, well, dollars is far more used.
Cash is still king,
And that's true, but it doesn't mean that Bitcoin isn't being used by criminals or that it's not a problem. It is a problem.
A huge one, Mr. G, because, sorry, man, if you actually look at the fact that it's not limited to traveling, basically, you can send it anywhere in the world right now. So cash, it's a physical thing that you can't just easily,
Yes, that's right. So if it's easier and if criminals find it more convenient, then of course they're going to use Bitcoin and other cryptos for criminal activities. That's just how it is. But it doesn't mean that that's inevitable. And if we look at Bitcoin, the way it was designed, it is a transparent ledger that is traceable. So right off the bat, Bitcoin was developed to try and combat criminals. And that's only one aspect of Bitcoin that makes it easy to combat criminals. So all these other cryptos out there that are trying to break that traceability and make transactions not pseudonymous, in other words, visible but not necessarily identifiable, if they're trying to make it anonymous like cryptos like Monero or Dash or Zcash, then those transactions are anonymous, and so that you can't trace them and you can't find what's going on. So by default, even if you are using those cryptos for okay reasons, not for criminal reasons, you're still engaging in criminal behavior.
Definitely.
Because the laws say you're not allowed to do anonymous transactions. So just because you're anonymous on a blockchain, people feel kind of safe. They think, well, no one's ever going to find me. They're never going to trace what I'm doing here. That's not what we're seeing. We are seeing law enforcement finding people on these things. But also what's important is that those little cryptos will never gain mainstream adoption or use. They'll always be used by a small minority.
It's a cult usage.
Little cult usage. So fine, if you want to go and play around with your cryptos, it's never going to be significant. But Bitcoin was built for traceability. Also, what's very interesting is that Bitcoin, and people don't know this, Bitcoin is seizable. You can actually, without finding the private keys of coins on a blockchain, on Bitcoin blockchain, if you are law enforcement and you believe that there are transactions linked to criminal activity, there can be a court order and those coins can go and be frozen on the blockchain and then seized. Now, how on earth does that happen? Everybody says, well, no, crypto is decentralized. Bitcoin is decentralized. We have all these miners out there.
Because, people think, for them to initially just, be comfortable with wanting to send money in such a space where it's anonymous, they clearly think that it's untraceable. Nobody's going to pick it up.
They think that the entire purpose of Bitcoin's decentralization is to make it impossible for money to be seized or for there to be transactions created on the blockchain not through proof of work. And this is false. And this is going to amaze a lot of people to hear this. But the way Satoshi created Bitcoin was that you could go and seize coins, even if without the private keys. So if you find coins linked to a criminal, money laundering or something, law enforcement can go to the miners and can compel the miners to freeze funds. And how do they do that? Well, they're running the software, remember? They can make a change on that software to create a new transaction that then sends the money from the criminal's wallet to the government or the officials. And this was how Satoshi created Bitcoin. It's why there is proof of work and why there's mining.
So just a quick question there, MSG. So with money being seized, so they can, let's say they're picking it up on the blockchain. So they seize it, but at that point they haven't really found out who I am.
Well, let's say through their own figuring out and investigation, they then identify addresses that have coins on them,
Yeah.
and they have determined that these coins are now linked to a criminal activity, terrorist financing or something. What they can then do is get a court order and go to the miners, all of the miners. There's not a lot of them. There's not millions. There's not non-mining nodes out there. Please watch our show on mining, episode 38, all about Bitcoin mining, and you'll see that nodes that don't mine are useless and don't do anything. Okay, so you only have a few miners out there in the world. What a court order could be created that goes to the miners, every one of them, and says, you are now all going to have to freeze the funds on a particular address. In other words, you're not allowed to mine any transactions
from this address
where money, coins are being moved from this address to another address. So stop that. So the miners will then freeze those coins. Then what the court can do is they can say, now we want you to redirect those coins to us. And the miners can go and write a transaction, brand new transaction, and they can all decide, yes, we are now going to get that transaction written to the ledger. And what does that transaction do? It transfers the money from the criminal's account or wallet or address to the official's address. And people are going to be amazed. If you're in crypto and you think that it's impossible to move coins without keys, not your coins, well, this is a shock for you. This is why Satoshi created Bitcoin mining. It's so that miners would grow large enough, invest money into building out infrastructure, and if law enforcement come knocking,
it should be visible.
They don't want to lose their investment in all that mining power and all that infrastructure, and they're going to just say, all right, we want to keep our investment. What do you want us to do? This is the law. Fine, we're going to do it. We're going to create that transaction. So this idea that Bitcoin was meant for criminals, it wasn't. It was meant to stop criminals. It was meant to make it easy to see when there is criminal behavior and then easy to block that criminal behavior. So just because Bitcoin is being used and other cryptos are being used for criminal activities today, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin was meant for that sort of thing. All these other cryptos are trying to make such a thing. Remember, they are constantly going on about creating a decentralized network that has uncensorable transactions where money cannot be confiscated by the dirty government, and they can just be free and no one can stop them. And that is the fundamental motive and mission of crypto, is to create a world where everybody can have their own sovereign individuality, their money that no one can touch, and they are, when we talk about sovereigns, they rule their world. Nobody can mess with them. I don't know when, but it's going to be a while before all these crypto people figure this out. But the time is coming when they're going to catch a wake up, and it's going to be pretty harsh.
Very harsh. Very harsh, Mr. G. Because we've seen with the crackdowns and everything, like, especially the law doesn't take this lightly when it comes to transactions, how money moves. So there's going to be like a lot of people who are going to be paying with their reputation, their lost savings and all of that.
Yes, exactly. So right now, totally, there's criminals out there using it, but they're going to catch a shock when they realize that Bitcoin is very traceable, very seizable, and that's what Satoshi intended.
Cool. So we touched on the criminal side of things, but also, Mr. G, the fourth one touches on the volatility. Like it states that Bitcoin cannot be a stable form of value because of the volatility.
Yes. Right. Bad take number 4. You can't use Bitcoin as a currency because it is too volatile. And nobody can deny that's the case right now. And so this is something that absolutely, if we don't end up with a volatile token, with a non-volatile token, then how could you ever think about using this as cash? Now, of course, you could imagine a world where we're constantly converting into and out of local currencies into crypto, but of course, when you're doing that, you're incurring costs, switching costs, or cash loading costs, or something like that. And so we do want a world where once a month or whenever you want, you draw some Bitcoin into your wallet, just like you will draw money out of an ATM, out of physical notes, put them in your wallet. Yes, you paid a little bit of a fee on that transaction, but now you've got your cash and you can use it. But when you've got that cash in your wallet, you don't want that money to be fluctuating in value over the weeks that you have that cash.
Yeah, that's actually quite a turnoff for most users.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we need it to be stable enough for at least a couple weeks, instead of it just popping up and down all the time.
Yeah.
And so the volatility is a huge problem. And what are we going to do about that? Well, the only reason it's a problem is because people are still speculating on crypto.
Yeah.
They are buying and selling these things, pumping and dumping them on exchanges, and this is what drives the so-called market.
Yeah.
Is people just trading. And when you have an environment like that, and it's not based on anything fundamental, people aren't trading on important information, like when we talk about fundamentals.
Yeah.
Everybody's just trading on these
pumpamentals.
These pumpamentals, and then of course all the stuff about technical analysis and that. And so it just creates a very unstable environment when it comes to the price of these tokens. Now, of course, when you're looking at a Bitcoin cryptocurrency or a blockchain currency, if that blockchain is being used as a utility blockchain, a commodity blockchain, and the demand for that token is sort of stable, depending on the way it's being used, if that demand is stable, then yes, you should have a stable price on these tokens. Now, we don't have that yet. Because people aren't acquiring even BSV at this stage, although actually people are acquiring BSV because they see the utility of it. So BSV is slightly different in that there are people out there who are not buying BSV because they're speculating on it. They actually are buying BSV because they need it for their businesses, for whatever utilities they're creating. But for the vast majority of the cryptos out there, that's not what's going on. People are speculating. And that means it's always going to be volatile for as long as that status quo remains. For as long as there is a world where people think that trading cryptos and pumping and dumping cryptos is legitimate and it's a decent way to earn a living and it's, this is what people do, well, yes, then there's going to be volatile cryptos. But if we get a world where we have a utility blockchain, then it's not going to be volatile anymore. So this take, again, on the side of crypto and BTC, it's a good take. It is too volatile when you have just a speculative market, nothing based on fundamentals. Then it's too volatile to use as a currency. It also means that the fees are always fluctuating. You know? And how can you use something where you never know what the fee is that you're going to be using? Is it going to be high? Is it going to be low? There's no predictability in that.
There's not, because there's also record like that shows that, with the whole speculation nature of it, anyone can come and push a narrative that distorts the whole truth about it, and then people get to lose money. So for as long as we have speculation, we're going to have volatility. If we move into a world where we have utility blockchain and it becomes a world where people are using the ledger on a daily basis for business activities, that is going to create a stable world. And that's why Centbee, we still believe in BSV as cash. Unfortunately, it's still very volatile in user wallets. That's why we're looking to bring in stable coins inside Centbee wallet. And so this is something that we want. We want a world where we have stable cryptos, stable BSV, should I say. And it's only going to come once we move beyond the crypto phase and we move into the world of utility blockchain, and hopefully that time is coming soon. And I think with the release of Terranode coming up soon, where we can finally demonstrate in a real basis the high volume throughput of the BSV Terranode, then that's when businesses are going to see, wow, this is a real thing. Look how useful it is. And it has the ability to cater to the volumes that I need. Sometimes businesses have requirements for their own business to generate millions of transactions per second. And so if they see a blockchain that can't support that, then they're not going to pick that blockchain. But luckily now we're seeing that more and more with BSV, and it's only going to improve. It's coming with the bag, Mr. G. People don't know what's actually coming with the Terranode. It's crazy.
And I think that once Terranode is here and we start seeing businesses adopt it and it improving, then we're going to see more demand pick up for the BSV token. And I think that over the short to medium term, when people start waking up, that the BSV token is going to grow in value, and it might have its own crazy pumps as people realize, whoa, this is a real thing, let's get in there. Now, of course, that's not what we want. We don't want there to be pumps and dumps. We want it to be nice and orderly. But it could be the case that if you have any BSV and you're holding on to it over the next few months, maybe even short years, who knows, there could be a massive demand that comes for BSV tokens and the price goes up.
I foresee it, Mr. G, honestly, because BSV being the original protocol, like, I mean, it ticks all the boxes necessary. Scaling, low fees, I mean, throughput. So there's no way we can deny the fact that BSV is the future that we should be focusing on, like I always say.
Makes sense to me.
Sure, thanks, Ms. G. Yeah, man. I mean, there's plenty for us to go through, but I think just the bite of that mini chunk would be sufficient for this episode.
Yeah,
we're gonna be catching up on the next episode because there's quite a lot, like I'm saying, you know. So it's important for us to flesh out these bad takes.
Yes, we should call this series the bad take, good take.
Series.
There's a whole bunch of them, and we're very keen to go through all of these because by doing this, we can lightly touch on some of the misconceptions. It's going to be a series where if you want to just hear about what are the bad takes and why is it different from BSV, then definitely catch this new series we've got going on here. But of course, with every one of these points, we have full shows dedicated to diving in and doing a deep dive because they really are worth exploring.
There's quite a lot to unfold, Ms. G. And I always say, for me, it's always exciting with every episode because it's educational, you know. I get to learn a lot, even stuff that I thought I understood. You know, sometimes they actually are properly clarified thanks to you, yo.
My pleasure. And it's a pleasure to do this.
Like we always say, guys, just remember to update the app. If you haven't, just check it out on the stores. And also remember to plug your friends, yo. Mobile money on fire. Ms. G, we're going to be stepping into this week's user questions and feedback, yo. Our first one comes from Run Deep. And they saying, I really appreciate how you guys enlighten folks about every aspect of BSV. Thank you, and go BSV. Thumbs up.
Great. Thanks, Randeep. Thanks for that great comment. Those comments keep us going.
They do.
They make us feel that we are making a positive contribution to this overall space. We are hoping that we get people who aren't interested in Bitcoin SV to watch the show. And so that they can also be enlightened, like Randeep. There was somebody I met the other day, and he saw this sweater and he saw the Bitcoin logo here, and he said, "Oh, Bitcoin." He was new to the whole space, and he was getting into it, and he was dabbling around a bit, and I said, "Yeah, but this is a Bitcoin shirt, but it's a particular version of Bitcoin." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Didn't you know there are many different versions of Bitcoin?" And he said, "Oh man, this space is so confusing. It's so complicated. How do I know what information is real?" And I just said, just go to the source. Just go to Satoshi Nakamoto. Go to the Bitcoin white paper and see what is this about. And then everything else, if you are overwhelmed and you don't know where to go next, just stay with Satoshi's vision. Because he figured it out. He wasn't just a guy who clicked on something, it was interesting, but now time has moved on. No, Satoshi Nakamoto completed an incredible achievement here. He created something that up to that point had never been achieved before. This ability to create a decentralized currency that checked all the boxes in terms of all the regulatory compliance and all the legal stuff, and also the fact that it was something that could be economically incentivized. In other words, miners can contribute work and effort in a voluntary way to earn income. You don't need to hire businesses and stuff to support the network. This is a playground or a green field to be able to grow and build a new world. So Satoshi figured it out.
He did.
There's no reason to look elsewhere at this stage. Yes, of course, there are going to be more improvements coming down the road, There's going to be new innovations that come up. But right now, Bitcoin, the way Satoshi created it, is sound and solid and foundational. And it doesn't need any changing or any tweaking.
Yeah.
This is something that is ready now for the world to arrive and start building a new future. So go to the source.
Yeah.
If you're confused about Bitcoin and which crypto, just focus on Satoshi Nakamoto's design and what he wanted. Read the white paper. It's not that complicated. Yes, there's a little bit of mathematics in there and stuff. You can skip over that. But just see how simple and elegant the whole protocol, the design was.
Yeah.
All the other stuff is now left to the rest of us, the rest of the world, to go and build and improve on. The protocol remains the same. And if you're on Satoshi's Bitcoin, you're in the right place.
Straight up, man. Thanks for that, Mr. G. Like you guys always hear it, man. We're not going to change what we say. We stick to it. BSV is the future, yo. So, yeah, our second one comes from John Ivy. And they are saying, great show. I love the educational content.
Cool. Thanks for the comment.
That's cool, man. And also, Mr. G, you know, to your point, I appreciate the feedback we get from the guys, because it just shows also that they tune in and they actually listen to, you know, what we have to say.
Yeah, no, that's great. Please, and if you do have a question, if there's something you want us to cover on the show, if there's something that you don't really understand yet and you want our take on it, then drop it in the comments. We're going to read it. We'll highlight it on the show even. And then we can make sure that we're doing the things that you, and saying the things that you guys want to hear. So leave a comment. We'll definitely read it and we'll answer it on the show if it's a great question. And it'll also help us know what you want to hear about and what take you want from us about this space. We've been around for a long time. We've been fighting the Satoshi battles for Satoshi since he's not around to fight them. So we think. Behind the scenes, Satoshi. Thank you, Satoshi, for giving us this awesome invention. And I guess lighting a fire in us to be able to step up and do a show where we try and explain Satoshi's vision.
Straight up. I mean, it's pretty awesome, Mr. G. I dig it. I think we've come to the end of our show.
Okay. Cool. Well, we're definitely going to be doing more bad takes. We've got a whole lot of bad takes, but we can't do one show about it. Stay tuned for future episodes of the Centbee Show. We're not going anywhere.
We're not.
We're loving this. We think it's important.
We're soldiering on.
And we want to make sure that if you are watching the Centbee Show, you're getting the real lowdown. Kage says the real plug on Bitcoin, and you're definitely going to benefit from it and to be able to avoid a lot of the pitfalls that crypto tends to throw in our ways. So thank you very much for tuning into the Centbee Show. Please come back soon.